Good day, Internet. This is DTNS Live for Friday, March 14th, 2025. From Studio Animal House, I'm Sarah Lane.
In Studio 7 in Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merritt.
From Columbus, Ohio, I'm Robb Dunewood.
Drawing the top tech stories in Cleveland, Ohio, I'm Len Peralta.
From a soggy Southern California, I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
Daily Tech News Show Live is made possible by you. Yeah, it's your fault. But also thank you, including Mike Akins, Norm Fazekas, Chris Allen, and everyone. Welcome a brand new patron, Alejandro.
Welcome, everybody, to DTNS Live, whether it's raining or sunny or somewhere in between, maybe snowing where you are. This is the show where we don't care about your weather. We're just caring that you want to talk about tech news with us to help us all understand it a little bit better. How's everybody doing? Len Peralta, how are you doing?
Well, you know, Rob and I are in Ohio, and we are dealing with a heat wave here. We're in the 70s.
Oh, yeah,
today.
I'm so sorry.
It's the first heat wave of the year, so it's great.
You guys okay? Air conditioning working?
No, we don't have the air on.
Got some lemonade?
I don't have the air on, but it's darn near close. Like I said, it's close to air conditioning weather.
Tomorrow will be in the 40s, so we're just going to enjoy what we have now.
Well, it's nice for you warm weather people, whereas here in California, we're getting our typical 47-degree winter weather.
Nice.
It's rainy and 47. Hey, happy Pie Day, everybody. 3.1.
Yeah, happy Pie Day. What kind of pie is everybody having?
Cherry.
You're having cherry pie, of course. Rob, what about you?
Sweet potato pie.
Sweet potato
good choice.
pie. Yum yums.
Lemon
I'm
meringue.
gonna do a Gravenstein apple pie myself.
Nice choice. Yeah,
Roger?
I'm going to say that to every.
I'm going to
there's
be
no bad pie.
I'm going to be the weirdo. I'll probably snag like a Hostess pie.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
A pie is a
it's
pie.
High
choice. Yeah.
cholesterol
Yeah.
and
Pie.
high sugar.
Which
but
flavor
so
though? The fudge.
I hate the fudge is the worst. That feels like you got the short end of the stick.
It's a pudding empanada.
But it's just I don't know. It doesn't work. Neither does the lemon one. It either has to be the cherry or the apple.
Oh, the lemon one is so good.
Yeah.
It's Hat Friday, by the way, and I want to thank Allison Sheridan for this hat. This was a surprise in the mail this week. It's a USS Kenneth D. Bailey hat.
Oh my
This
gosh.
was the destroyer that my dad served on.
Whoa.
Wow.
Nice.
And Allison went and found a place that could make these and had
that's
him whip
awesome.
one up and send it to me. So thank
That's
you,
fantastic.
Allison.
This
That's
is
awesome.
not unlike my Hornet hat.
Right. Yeah. I've always been kind of
Which
jealous
is
that
actually
you had
kind
the
of
Hornet.
dirty now that I'm putting it right up to the.
Yeah. So now
the
we got
cam.
the dueling dad Navy hats.
Oh, it's so fun. Oh, yeah, that's great. Yeah, cool hat. Well, all right. So we actually are here to talk about tech news. So let's get right into it.
Google announced it will replace Google Assistant with Gemini on most Android phones later this year. We all knew it was coming. Phones running Android 9 or earlier with less than 2 gigabytes of RAM, you get to keep Assistant, but everybody else has to move to Gemini. Google plans to expand Gemini to watches, cars, tablets, headphones, speakers, displays, and TVs.
Authorities raided over 20 locations and sealed 2 European Parliament offices as part of a bribery probe into Huawei's lobbying activities. Prosecutors allege that Huawei has engaged in corruption, forgery, and money laundering since 2021, offering bribes, gifts, and travel perks to influence political decisions. Roughly 15 former current members of the European Parliament are also under investigation.
The UK's government's secret order to Apple for a backdoor into encrypted iCloud storage is now facing legal challenges from civil rights groups Liberty and Privacy International. The groups call the order unacceptable and disproportionate, with potential global consequences. They plan to challenge Home Secretary Yvette Cooper's decision to issue the order under the Investigatory Powers Act.
Reuters sources say Russia has been using cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ether, and Tether as a way to buy oil from China and India and others without violating U.S. sanctions, because you can't track the finances when they use it. Countries like Iran and Venezuela also use cryptocurrencies for international trade.
OpenAI has accused the AI lab DeepSeek of being state-controlled and recommended that the U.S. ban models from the People's Republic of China due to security and privacy risk. OpenAI says that DeepSeek's compliance with Chinese law could lead to a user data exposure and intellectual property theft. DeepSeek denies links to the Chinese government, and OpenAI says this is not self-serving at all.
Huawei's Harmony OS surpassed Apple's iOS in market share across mainland China's smartphone market for 4 consecutive quarters in 2024. By the end of December, Harmony OS held a 19% share, up from 16% in the same period back in 2023. This is according to data from Counterpoint Research. Little more Apple news now. Bloomberg sources say that Apple is developing a new AirPods feature that would allow the EarPods to translate in-person conversations into another language in real time. The feature is said to be included in an AirPods software upgrade expected later this year and will be tied to the upcoming iOS 19 update, which is rumored to be a big shakeup. Now, before all of you Google people say, wait a second, the Pixel Buds have had this since 2017.
Yeah, it's only 8 years late, but
and
sure.
The Pixel Buds Pro got it in 2022. I mean, what's cool about this? Well, it's cool in the sense that this is a really great feature for those of us who use AirPods, and I'm one of those people.
I'm one of those people too, but yeah, I'm not against it.
Well, when Google did it, they did it like this. And when Apple does it, they're doing it like that. It's completely different.
No, you're right, Rob.
Completely different. So, yeah, it's cool. Here's what will happen. So, Tom, when you and I were at CES back in January, we saw a lot of companies that were working on device-specific hardware to do this type of translation. Google didn't move the needle on those companies second thinking those options. I bet you that Apple will.
Yeah, if this works as well as it should work, because Apple already has this feature on iOS and it works pretty well. It's basically just routing it to the AirPods. It is one way though. That is the thing to remember is unless both of you are wearing AirPods doing this at the same time, or Pixel Buds doing it at the same time, only you hear the translation. So I think one of the reasons it hasn't been more widespread as a thing is you still have to figure out how to say something back to the other person, right? This might be fine for listening to television or movies or something like that.
Yeah, some years ago, I had this is a very long story, and I won't get into it, but I had a friend who lived in Belgium, and he spoke French.
Nobody lives in Belgium. What are you talking about?
I mean, I found the one that
Actually,
did.
I've been there. There's plenty of people.
There's people there.
Spoke French, and his English was not great. And my French was also not great. And, so we would do like the Google Translate thing, where I'd be like, hold on, type. And then, hold the phone and he'd be like, I see. You want orange juice or, whatever it was, that kind of thing. And it worked in a clunky way, but something like this really does work, as advertised in a way that makes it easier for you to hang out with somebody where you don't speak the same language, and you can kind of get by even better.
Yeah, I feel like the phone on the table is a better solution for two-way conversation than the earbuds.
Yeah.
Unless, and this is kind of gross when you think about it, but unless they set it up to where you could give one of your earpods to someone else and you talk in one and they talk in one, I would never do that. I'm imagining that most people probably wouldn't, which is probably why we're not hearing about that.
Most people won't want to put it in their ear with the sandwich bag that I wrapped around it either. So,
Did you do that?
No, I'm just saying that would be the only way I'd want to give it to them is if I could protect it.
Yeah, no, I'm not sharing my AirPods.
I'm not sharing.
It's just not a thing. Not sharing my toothbrush, not sharing my AirPods.
I don't even want people to touch my phone. So it's sitting on the table, but you can't touch it. Just let it sit there. That'd be cool. But yeah, it's
Eileen and I even get hesitant with putting each other's AirPods. We do it because we share everything else. It's really not. But there's just something about it. We're like, yeah, I guess this is okay.
It's just sharing earwax, and that's not.
You
it's not comfortable.
Earwax. It's a thing. Also, this sort of dovetails into another conversation of Apple announcing last week, which we already talked about, that it's delaying its AI upgraded Siri, saying that it's going to take longer than we thought to deliver on these features. According to Bloomberg, in a report today, senior director at Apple, Robbie Walker, said during an all-hands meeting for the Siri division that the team was facing a bad period. Walker also reportedly said it's unclear when the enhancements will actually launch. So we've been getting this whole like enhanced Siri. It's going to be great. And when the iPhone 16 launched back in October, or was announced in September, it was sort of like we've got some enhancements, not all of them. They're going to be coming next year, and it looks like Apple is moving behind schedule.
This sounds like iCloud to me, and I think this all hands meeting sounded more like, hey, I know we're taking a beating in the press. Everybody, this is not great. Let's get ahead of this. Let's get this thing shipped as fast as possible. But I stand by what I said before, which is, I don't see people rushing to other phones because of their great AI features either. I see Apple taking a lot of heat for this, and rightly so, for promising something and not delivering on it. Gruber had his whole tirade about how that's not very Apple. You don't promise things and don't deliver. And there are very few examples of that. There was that charging pad, and there have been iCloud features that they promised, and when they shipped them, they didn't work very well in the past. But over the years, they've gotten better at the iCloud stuff. And I think they're already better at generative models than they were at cloud storage when they started iCloud. So I think it's smart not to ship it until it's ready. They just shouldn't have promised as much. I think they finally buckled to the marketing pressure of, well, we got to promise some stuff to get people to compare us. But do you guys really think that people in general, not us, not the folks listening to this show even, but people in general, when they buy a phone, are they buying it on the so-called AI features?
I think absolutely not. There are a lot of folks who are right now in the press saying that Apple's not going to sell as many phones because they don't have this AI stuff. And it's like, when has Apple ever failed to sell phones because it was just an incremental update to the last phone? So yeah. Is the iPhone the next one that comes out? Will it be a little better than the one that's out now? Yeah, probably. And that's enough for people to get the new ones. We've already seen that people don't necessarily buy a phone every year. They're somewhere in between now 2 to 2.4 years that it takes for a person to upgrade to a new phone. So Apple's already, in a situation where people are skipping a phone before they upgrade. In some cases, they might skip 2 or 3 phones before they upgrade. I don't think that AI not being there is a reason for them not to upgrade their phone. Now, if it happened that everybody else has a phone that has a built-in X-ray scanner machine in it and you are behind on that, then maybe that might make somebody switch. But short of that, if you like iPhones, you're probably going to continue to get an iPhone regardless of whether it has, artificial intelligence built into it or not.
There's missed opportunity here, but not. Yeah. But not a reduction is the way I'm thinking about it.
I mean, I feel like we're still at the point for anybody who buys an iPhone to be like, well, maybe Siri will be super cool in the future, but you're buying the iPhone because you want the iPhone.
And the slowing iPhone sales is real, but I don't think it's because of this. I think it's mostly because of China.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, it's consumers, at least in the recent surveys from December and earlier this year, consumers have been very tepid on AI features in the phone, whether or not it's compelling enough. And so I think Apple will be sticky enough because you're in the Apple ecosystem, and that is reason enough to stay with Apple until Apple releases something that's so bad that people's like, all right, finally I gotta change ships. But until that happens, I don't think.
And last time I checked, Gemini will work on an iPhone. ChatGPT will work on an iPhone. Yeah. Perplexity will work on an iPhone. As long as you can get to the biggest, best chatbots that are out there on your iPhone, I don't know that Apple not having theirs fully baked in yet makes that much of a difference.
Yeah, and Fred pointed out in our chat, it's China plus a little saturation. Like people just aren't upgrading phones as fast as they used to. They'll still keep the iPhone. Maybe they won't switch from Android because there's not a compelling feature on Apple to do so that maybe if Apple had better Apple Intelligence, they would have. But now we're talking hypotheticals. So I don't think it's as bad as it looks. It's not great. They should be growing more. That's a fair criticism, but it's not the disaster that some people are making it out to be.
Yeah. Also, it's like it's good for a company to be like, our phones are so great, you don't need to upgrade them every year. But then,
I mean, yeah, it's maybe bad for your bottom line, but if you've got services like Apple TV Plus and stuff,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
You kind of
News.
you got yourself to this place, Apple.
Apple doesn't sell low-end phones either, so there's that.
No, it doesn't.
All right, moving on. Rob, the GSMA announced that it has added end-to-end encryption for its latest RCS spec. So what does this mean for Android and Apple communications?
Well, Sarah, about 6 months ago, Apple finally started supporting RCS on the iPhone. So RCS is the Global System for Mobile Communication Association spec for rich communications, which essentially replaces SMS and MMS. Now, RCS added all types of really cool, messaging features that you would expect on a smartphone, like media sharing of high quality photos and videos and audio, video calling, not iMess or not FaceTime, but RCS video messaging, group chats, which is a really important one, read receipts, and a bunch of other really, really good stuff. The problem is that RCS, like SMS and MMS before it, did not have an encrypted protocol, so it was just not secure. So Google, they actually, they've been using RCS for a while. They back in, I think it was 2021, they added E2EE encryption on Google Messages, but it wasn't part of the RCS spec from the GSMA. It was just their own thing. So what has happened now is that the GSMA has announced that end-to-end encryption using the messaging layer security protocol has been added to the latest RCS spec. And this has been worked on by a collaboration with multiple operators, device manufacturers, and technology providers, including Apple. So all that being said, soon, and I hope very soon, we should have a fully supported EDE encryption via RCS on Android and Apple, or should say between Android and Apple devices, which is a really, really good thing.
Yeah, this is a long time coming, and it is important that this is there. I know a lot of people use WhatsApp, which is already end-to-end encrypted, or maybe they use Line or WeChat or KakaoTalk or whatever, right? And so they don't care as much about this, but there are a lot of people, especially out here in the sticks in the United States of messaging, where we're still reliant on this protocol. And so this is not about the blue bubble, green bubble stuff so much as it is about security, about, not everybody I communicate with is going to have the same platform as I am, or even the same messaging app as I am. But if I'm using an RCS standard phone, which most phones now are, I know it'll be end-to-end encrypted, and that key will be stored on the device, meaning nobody can see it except me and the person I sent it to.
And the really cool about this end-to-end encryption, this is the built-in stuff. If you have an Android device, this is just what you use. If you have an iPhone, even though I would believe that Apple probably would still like you to talk to other people with iPhones and use iMessage, this is the standard stuff that you can talk to anybody with a phone via our RCS. So it's a really cool thing. One of the things I was thinking about, though, is that I don't think that we can argue that one of the stickiest things that Apple ever did was come out with iMessage. And the fact that it was so much better than MMS and SMS, and the fact that whenever you would talk to someone who was on an Android device, they came up green, they would break your chats. You would almost not want to even talk to people who were not using an iPhone, to the point to where there are all kinds of studies that show that there was social pressure on teens, particularly, to get an iPhone simply so that they could use iMessage and FaceTime. I wonder now, does Apple lose a little bit of that? Because even though you will still have the green bubble versus blue bubble, all the really cool stuff that people cared about will work. You'll be able to get a read receipt. It won't break group chats. That is probably one of the biggest things that iPhone users were really upset with Android users about. That kind of stuff is going to work, and it is now end-to-end encrypted. So you don't have to just, hey, everybody get on WhatsApp, or everybody get on Signal, or everybody get on Facebook Messenger. You can now do all of this just built into the iPhone, just built into an Android device without having to have a third-party application. So I wonder if that takes a little bit of that lock-in for iOS users away, just a little bit, because I think there's a lot of other things that keep you locked into an iPhone. But I wonder if this is just one little chink in the armor that the Apple no longer has.
I will say that a variety of my friends who do use iPhones, but don't live in the U.S., well, some of them do, but majority of them don't, are like, who uses iMessage?
Right.
Just use WhatsApp. That's what everyone uses. Now, if you live in China, you might say, no, we all use WeChat.
Yeah.
But the majority of all of my overseas friends, they use WhatsApp and just sort of laugh at all of this. Who cares? Who cares what kind of phone you have?
The majority of chat application style communication that happens on Earth is WhatsApp. I don't know if a lot of Americans realize that, but you are right. I used to manage a team that was based out of Cork, Ireland, and they are the ones who got me onto using WhatsApp. WhatsApp is so big in Europe that the carriers there actually forego using SMS and MMS clients years ago, and just say, we're just going to put WhatsApp, this proprietary application from at the time Facebook, now Meta, on our phones, and that's just how you're going to communicate when you're sending messages back and forth with each other. It is immensely big everywhere but here.
Yeah. And that's why I don't know how much of it. You're not wrong that there will be an effect, right? There will be times when somebody was going to say, well, I would get I would stick in my Android phone, but maybe I should get an iPhone so I stop breaking the group chat. Like, that definitely happens. I think the end-to-end encryption part of this is not as important as just the compatibility for most people. This will get a few other people over the fence, but I imagine most people weren't thinking about this and will continue to not think about it.
So the RCS has been out for about 6 months.
Yeah,
and because it was not
September,
secure,
right? I think. Yeah.
So because it wasn't secure, I wouldn't just say, hey, everybody start using RCS now.
Yeah.
If I was already telling you to use WhatsApp, if I was already telling you to use Signal, I would still say that, simply because it's like, why would I tell you to use something that I know is inherently insecure? Mm-hmm. And now maybe from my behavior standpoint, I might just send somebody something directly via RCS now, as to where before I wouldn't have done it. I might have looked for, I wonder if they're on WhatsApp. I wonder if they're using Signal, because you can very easily see if one of your contacts is using one of these other applications. Once this is, I know that it is E2E both ways. I don't know that I'll look for that any longer if I'm just trying to communicate with somebody the quickest possible way.
And that's us, though, not the mainstream.
Yeah,
but the question becomes, you may be influential in that, right? People may look at you like, oh, Rob knows what he's doing with tech. He's using RCS. I guess that's fine, right? And maybe it has like ripple effects because of that.
I also think at some point we won't even really think about, are you using RCS? It'll just be, who are you contacting? You pull them up and you just send them a message and you just go.
I look forward to that day where you don't even have to think, oh, are they on WhatsApp? Are they on Signal? Like, you could just use a generative model to determine, like, you want to mention something to Sarah here. Yeah.
Same sort of promise of the Fediverse, right? Is it doesn't really matter where you are. I can contact you that way.
Yeah. I mean, if everything was on the Fediverse, that would be true. But then you have things like Open Vibe that make it a little more true, because now they can post to Threads and now they can post to Blue Sky. I would love it if I had an interface where I'm like, I want to send this message to Roger, and it knows to pick the most secure way that Roger is on to send a message. But I don't have to know. I don't have to know whether that's Signal or WhatsApp or RCS or anything else.
I'm just taking baby steps. What I want is, if you send me a message and I look at it in my shade but forget about it, and then, oh crap, Tom sent me something. Where did he send it to? I've got to go look at 11,000 different apps to try to figure out what you sent me. You want to just
be say, let me respond to Tom, and then it tells you.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. Well, we want you to respond to us, and we'll tell you where to go. We won't leave you guessing. Our subreddit, it's a great place to go, and you can see all of the stories that have been submitted by other people. We've got a collection of folks who post links every day in there, so you can vote and on those just like you do anywhere else on Reddit. And we look at that as a way to figure out what to talk about on the show. So get over there to reddit.com/r/Daily Tech News Show.
On Monday's show, we talked about Warner replacing DVDs from between 2006 and 2008 because of bit rot. Basically, they were not holding up. This reminded Allison Sheridan of a funny story. And Tom, you're going to tell us that story, aren't you?
Yeah, she sent us this email writing that she found it interesting to hear that Warner was saying they would replace with the same title or, if not available, an exchange for a title of like value. Allison wrote, "This reminded me of back in 2012 when I bought the Blu-ray for District 9 that was supposed to come with a digital copy, but when I tried downloading the movie, it said it was expired. I contacted Sony customer service, and they said the digital copies are only available for 1 year after the movie has been released to stores, so they offered me a title of like value. Get this, the Smurfs."
Oh, I mean, those are basically the same movie.
I get those two confused all the
Basically
time.
the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I watching District 9 or the Smurfs? Yeah. So I thought it might be fun to assume, we're going to assume that these titles that Warner Brothers is replacing, so these are in that 2006 to 2008 window. If these were not available for a straight swap, in other words, you can't get the exact same movie, what would the equivalent title be for the following DVDs?
Oh boy.
Starting with 2001: A Space Odyssey.
That's a really hard one.
I think, Tom, 2001, that's arguably one of the best space movies of all time. So you have to replace that with something of equal caliber, of equal weight. So I'm going to go with one of two, either Spaceballs or Ice Pirates.
Ice Pirates. Wow.
Ice Pirates is a good. Oh,
I used
that's
to
a
love
deep
that
cut.
movie.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh gosh, that takes me back to third grade. I don't know. I mean,
I actually have both of those on DVD.
if I
Wow.
The classics.
there's nothing that could be comparable to this movie. But if I had to, I'd say like The Martian, which is a good space movie.
Oh, you're
would
being
say
serious.
Interstellar.
Like,
Interstellar.
Yeah. Interstellar's another good one. It's a modern equivalent.
Yeah,
right?
that's actually a very good one. Yeah.
And the other one I can think of is Capricorn 1, more of that within 10 years of that movie.
What about 2010?
oh, yes. That would be good.
Just give you the sequel.
Well, that's 9 years later, Tom. I mean, how much? I don't know about that. 9 years.
You know what would be
It's just
the
the
Andromeda
computer
strain.
like sitting there in space. That's all it is.
If you wanted, because 2001 was such a hard science, I think Andromeda Strain would do pretty well, because that is very. That was Michael Crichton when he was like first starting out.
You're being serious with your recommendations.
Well, no, but I'm doing like for like. 2001 is like a
I
very
know,
hard
but
science
That's what Len's saying.
Allison's
Allison
example,
got the Smurfs.
She got the Smurfs for District 9. I would say 2001: A Space Odyssey, maybe Crawl or something like that.
That was actually one of the first movies with Liam Neeson that I remember watching.
I saw. It's a terrible film.
Spaceballs. Spaceballs are
Spaceballs would be good. Someone
Spaceballs
in
is a
chat
great
said
movie. Let's be
Galaxy
honest.
Quest. I think Galaxy Quest is
yeah.
too good
Galaxy
of a
Quest.
movie.
We're gonna have to hold Galaxy Quest to replace any of the Star Trek.
Star Trek,
movies.
because
Yeah.
it's such a parody of that. It's such a good parody too.
Yeah. Royal Hoser has an idea, a movie that takes place in 2001, like a movie from 2001.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Love Actually. Or something.
It's related. It's
Was
related.
the Matrix? No, Matrix was 98. I was thinking that was the Matrix movie in 2001.
Yeah. What about Blade Runner?
Oh, Blade Runner.
Oh,
I mean, Dune.
no,
Space-
Dune
Space-
feels
Because of
Blade
orange
Runner-esque.
to orange.
no. It would be because Blade Runner is such a like cyberpunky movie like set the tone. What else would be? I would say Cherry 2000, but that's a little tongue in cheek.
I'm a big Mystery Science Theater fan, so I'm going with this movie that they riffed called Space Mutiny.
I was trying to remember the name
Oh,
of
that had
movie.
Red
I'm glad
Brown
you-
in it.
yeah.
That was the original Captain America on TV.
Yes.
All I could think of was Manos, the Hand of Fate, which is not the right.
Which is weird because Manos is still hands, so it's hands of fate.
terrible.
G. James B. suggested Blade Running Man.
Oh,
What's about
Do
Cutting
you
Edge?
run with a blade in your hand? That's kind of cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Cutting
They're
Edge, that's the
replacing
one
Blade
with the
Runner.
hockey player trying to get with the figure skater. Like they try to turn him into a figure skater.
White
So-
Knights.
Oh,
No, Cutting Edge.
Lamina Rainbow
Blade of
says
Glory.
Total Recall.
Oh, Total Recall.
I think that's
Recall.
it. That's a good
our-
submission.
another
Send
one
your
with the
Philip K. Dick to Philip K. Dick in the source material.
So this is
overdrawn
not
at
a
the
this is
memory.
not a movie, but it's a TV show. I think you
Okay.
could replace Blade Runner with Max Headroom.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it could be like a box set. Max Headroom box
Just
set.
give me like the first season.
That's
since
actually
you-
not
since you
bad.
can-
Yeah. All right. What about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
Oh, what's the Supersize Me?
The documentary?
Oh.
No, I'm just thinking about the gluttony and the chocolate.
That seems
Oh,
preachy. Like, oh, you're into all this chocolate? You should watch Super Size Me. We're
What
going to
about
give you
that-
that.
I mean, Charlie and the Chocolate. Well, okay. Are we talking about the original? Or are we talking
don't
about the Johnny
know.
Depp version?
No, it's Charlie. It's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was with Johnny Depp.
This
No,
is
no,
the
but
Johnny
that was
Depp
the
one.
remake.
Yeah,
This is
that's
the
the
Johnny
one.
Depp.
Willy
If
Wonka
that's the
was-
one we're replacing, let's just replace it with the Gene Hackman or the Eugene Wilder one.
No, you do.
Gene Wilder, yeah.
Blazing
do the
Saddles, so
movie.
that's
It's
the-
because
also,
it's a.
that
it's a,
movie is not really about eating. It's about crappy kids.
Well, no. If you want
Well,
to
it's
replace
about-
One of the
another
kids
Johnny
is a
Depp
glutton,
film.
but not all of them. Yeah.
If you have
They're
another
all
Johnny
crappy,
Depp
though,
film would
except
be
the one.
Chocolat, right?
Yeah.
That's-
Chocolate.
Oh,
Oh,
ooh, that's an
chocolate.
upgrade. Yeah,
That's
chocolat.
interesting.
If
That's
you
a
just
Johnny
want
Depp
Charlie in the
interesting.
title, we could go with Charlie Wilson's War.
That's
Or-
Charlie's
or-
Angels.
That
Charlie's
feels like
Angels,
what a
yeah.
company would do. Like, oh, you want the Charlie thing replaced here?
But if it's another Johnny Depp film, what other Sleepy Hollow? Would you give it,
Edward
or is it a
Scissorhands.
Tim
No, you
Burton
would have
film?
to do Pirates of the Caribbean because that's the.
Do you
one
do
people
Edward
would want.
Scissorhands? Because then
Edward
you have a
Scissorhands is
magical
good.
Tim
That's
Burton
true.
world.
Good. Yeah, another Tim Burton film. Oh, Ed Wood, great, done.
No,
21
you have to
Jump
go with
Street.
chocolate. It's chocolate, you guys.
Chocolate is,
And
is
it
the
has
right
Johnny
That is
Depp
the
in it,
correct
yeah.
answer.
Bring,
think that's good.
bring it back. Bring it back. Chocolate Factory.
Okay, this one's tough. Tales from the Crypt box set.
Oh, I would do Twilight Zone or The Outer Limits.
Ooh,
box.
that's a good call. Yeah,
Very good.
How about Creep
Outer
Show?
Limits even. Oh, another good call. Creep Show would be good.
Creep Show would be good. Yeah. Although the Tales from the Crypt ones, I mean, those are excellent. Those are really.
You could
good.
also do any of the Housewives.
You could do
Series.
Black Mirror.
Oh, Black Mirror.
Black Mirror.
Yeah,
would be
but
an
is that
upgrade.
on DVD?
Well,
Like if they were going to give you a
sure.
swap, yeah.
and that's the other thing.
Oh,
Well,
All the housewives.
is this
That took me a second.
is this something? Do we have to stay within the Warner Brothers world? Right?
No, for the purposes of our discussion,
All
we
right.
don't.
All right.
Yeah.
Very good.
Obviously, Warner will have to, but we wouldn't. All right, final one here. Austin Powers Gold Member.
But
Funny
that particular movie, it can't be on any of the.
Very.
I mean, I
funny
guess you could just
movie.
swap it for one of the other Austin Powers movies.
I would do the original Casino Royale, because sort of a send up
because
of
it's
the
the
beginning.
inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah, well, but also because it was a send up of
People
a
will
lot
watch
of,
this and go, "That's not funny."
What about Wayne's World? Just
Oh yeah.
I mean, Mike Myers movie night.
If you want to stay with Mike Myers, you got to go Shrek.
Yeah.
No,
that's a
Wayne's
huge one,
World.
though.
It would be Wayne's World because that's his whole shtick, and that is like, the
So what Len just said.
I mean, I don't
Sorry.
know when the last time any of you watched Gold Member was, but
No,
I
it's
mean,
been a while.
and
It's really
not,
bad.
It's not for everybody, but it is so funny.
no,
I mean,
it's
belly laughing funny.
but it has what's his name? The butler from the Batman Dark Knight from the
Michael Caine.
Michael
Yeah.
Caine. So
He's
think
in
of
that?
Michael Caine. Yeah,
Michael
he's-
Caine.
He's Austin Powers' dad in the movie.
I forgot- that shows how long. Hey, whatever
I-
happened to Heather Graham. Whatever happened to her?
They replaced her with.
What do you mean? She's alive?
No, but I mean,
No.
what's the last thing you saw her in?
Oh,
I
she's
think I
doing
saw
Boogie
something
Nights.
recently. Yeah.
Boogie Nights is the last. thing I
Boogie
remember.
Nights is like
She's
25
been
years old.
stuff since Boogie Nights.
No, I
Audrey hasn't
know,
left
but that's
house
the last
in 15
thing.
years.
Yeah.
Okay, you just have to remember that.
Wow.
Oh, well,
She was most recently in Chosen Family as Anne.
Wow.
And Best Christmas Ever. I think that's the last thing I saw her in
Wow.
2023.
I mean,
Sounds like those
her career
AMC
was kind of
specials.
on a trajectory, and now it's like
She was in The Stand in 2020,
no,
that miniseries.
Len, don't say things like that. She's
just-
working.
I mean,
she's a working actress.
Maybe she
we're,
had
we're all
different
working
career-
as well.
I was
Maybe
gonna
she had
say,
different career goals.
There are so many people going like, whatever happened to Tom Merritt out there? So, 'cause they-
I literally get emails all the time like, where did you go?
really.
And I'm like,
People write that to you?
I work every single day. Like, I don't know.
I
like,
went to
Where
my
did you
house.
go?
it would be so hard to not know what I do, but okay.
Yeah.
Totally rude. What a
Well,
rude thing to write.
we'll wrap this up with on a little bit of a down note. One of us is a victim of this Warner Brothers DVD turned to cottage cheese problem. Len,
Yeah.
you're trying to get a Looney Tunes collection.
Yes,
replaced.
most of the list I was like, I'm okay. The Crudes, I'm never going to buy the Crudes on DVD, but I did a couple years ago, many years ago, apparently during 2006, 2008, bought the Looney Tunes Golden Collection, Volume 3 and 2, I think. So I have an email into Warner Brothers based on a blog post that I saw and have not heard anything back yet. So I'm assuming that they have been inundated with all kinds of people that wanted their
Yeah.
DVDs replaced.
Well, let us know as soon as you hear. We want
will,
to know what they
yeah.
offer you.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I have not tried those discs, so I'm not sure if they are victim of disc rot. So, but
You're gonna get
just-
the Heckle and Jekyll box set. That's my guess.
it's- at least the DVDs do not have brain rot. So that's the.
I mean, let's
You haven't
hope.
watched them in a while, have you?
Well, it is Friday, and that it means it's time for the Great Debate. Roger, what are we debating today?
So, in light of our debate, this is the first great debate that we have had or we're having for 2025. I have
really?
three we probably will get to all three introspective either or questions. You must choose only one of the two denoted paths. Now, these questions will force you to reflect on your fears, your desires, and possibly your very existence.
Oh, wow.
Or
I don't
it might
wanna.
be a good way to kind of
Wow, that's a lot of pressure.
fill out our backstories.
Wow,
So
you
question-
inspired a $3 super sticker from Lemon
Woohoo!
Rainbow with that.
Nice, very
That's
good.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lemon.
Question 1. What would you be more scared or frightened by? All your emails suddenly becoming social media posts, or your social media posts turning into workplace emails? That
Oh,
got sent
gosh.
to everyone?
I know my
Emails turning
answer.
into social media posts for sure.
Yeah, that's my answer as well. I mean,
I'm fairly careful about what I put in email, knowing that it can kind of go anywhere, but I'm way less careful than I am about what I put on social media.
also, it's like, I don't know. I mean, I can't think of the last time I emailed somebody something like, oh, wow, this is like pretty crazy information. It's like, we just do that other ways if we have to. But there have been times where, somebody read that not and we're like, Sarah. And I'm like, well, that was not for you. That was between me and one other person, not not for the world. So yes,
Yeah.
that would frighten me.
Like account recovery, links, and
Yeah,
That too.
boring.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
Most of my emails are very boring. So
I know.
Can you imagine Len just like on Twitter or on X? It's like it's all like recovery.
Here's your one-time
code is
code.
14755.
my emails are like, sounds great. What size do you need the design?
I don't care about all that kind of stuff. There's nothing nefarious in my emails, but there was a time, if these are corporate emails, when I was doing stuff like I was working on like mergers and acquisitions, and there's a lot of company stuff in some of my email that it needed to be an email because you had to have a record of, things that you were talking about, but you would never ever want that stuff to be leaked out on the open internet, particularly if you have not announced that you were potentially looking at a company or something like that. So I would be mortified if back in the day when I was working on is this company, do we want to buy them or do we want to do an acqui-hire? How do we want to get this done? If that was to get out to the internet before we actually started having those kind of conversations officially, that would be devastating.
I think for a different crowd, social media posts turning into workplace emails would be equally devastating. We're just not that crowd.
Right.
Yeah, and it's my tone on both is roughly the same, but I know individuals who have wildly different personalities, whether it's on social media versus like email. Email is all very buttoned down business. Social media is like, hey, I just had a bender in Vegas. I'm gonna post this and say this. There's a psychological shift, and I'm not sure maybe.
F your favorite political candidate.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's weird because I think for the most part, all of us here are work for ourselves, right? So a workplace email basically is like a social media post.
My social media posts would go to you all, and you already can see them if you really want to. So.
Exactly. So maybe it has a little bit more impact for someone.
In different situations.
Yeah, that works.
But for us, apparently more people are worried about emails becoming unleashed.
I'm not really worried about either, to be honest, except for like account recovery stuff, obviously because of security concerns. But
I guess you're just so precious, Tom. You never said anything bad in your life.
Thank you for finally acknowledging.
He's like a gemstone, Sarah.
Elijah gemstone.
All right, let's talk question 2.
All right. If you could only do this from this point forward for the rest of your life, so that means when you're in the grave, would you eat only the food available to you at the local 7-Eleven /AMPM, like the convenience store, or would you only eat the food that comes from your junior high /high school cafeteria? In other words,
we should clarify these are 7-Elevens in the United States, not Japan.
Yes, not the cool Japanese ones where you can get a button-down shirt,
right,
like cleanly pressed. No, these are 7-Eleven AMPMs in the North America for the rest of your life. That's all you could eat, or all you could eat for the rest of your life is the food that got churned out by your junior high or high school cafeteria.
Now, okay, I will say that my junior high, because it's weird, but I grew up in Sebastopol, California, on the Russian River, and we ate a lot of pierogi. Were we all Russian? No, we weren't, but that's just what we did.
You were by the end of
lunchtime. That's what I ate in junior high.
That's just what we. Yeah, it's a California
really?
thing.
You too?
Northern California thing.
Yeah, it was all in the Bay Area.
Pierogi's like pierogi, yes?
No. Pierogi's like a
stuffed
dessert.
bread.
Pierogi's like meat and
pierogies are dumplings, right? But
they got potato and cheese filling usually.
They typically have some sort of meat or vegetable or cheese and vegetable or cheese.
They're so good. I mean, when I was in 6th grade, it was like pierogi day was like yes at school. Like we
that was one of the options.
Pierogies.
It was $3. It was like $2.75 or $3 at my junior high school when you went to the cafeteria. Give me a pierogi. Give me 2 pierogies and a pizza. That's what I ordered.
All right. So
weirdo
pierogi
Californians.
or French bread pizza.
That looks good.
I mean, between the two of those, I would not be healthy.
So weirdo Californians with their Russian calzones would eat their cafeteria.
I see. This is the thing. I would lean toward my high school, junior high cafeteria because those are all sort of targeted toward the USDA, food dietary requirements. So at least, my globular Jello with the 1.5 pieces of fruit, I think would cover me.
I'm definitely going middle school cafeteria food because I distinctly remember going to middle school, and that was when you didn't just have the tray and you got whatever they were having. This is when you had like 5 or 6 different entrees. You had a salad station. You could.
Well, that's very fancy.
It was decent. Like I distinctly remember enjoying my middle school meals because it was like.
Was this in Columbus or somewhere else?
No, this is in Ohio. So northeast.
But is
Ohio,
it rural or in the city or closer?
No, it was like a city of like 70,000 people. So so a decent sized city.
Decent sized city.
But it was also like it was right on when, as Roger said, is when they the schools were trying to we need to make these things really be nutritious and everything, but the people who cooked, like we just call them the lunch ladies, they literally worked there for like 30 years. And they also had catering business on the side. So the food that they were preparing was really good. So the only days that I did not want to eat school lunch is when it was seafood, because I'm just allergic to shellfish and I didn't want to have anything to do with that. But other than that, I loved my middle school lunches.
I was talking to somebody the other day where we were talking about this exact thing. And I was like, I mean, this is when I was, in middle school, there was no internet yet. So how did my mom even know what they were serving at school?
Oh, they sent the flyer home every month.
Yeah.
Right. And my mom's like,
published
it was
in the newspaper for us too.
Yeah, like it's French bread pizza on Wednesday, pierogi Thursdays, yay!
Yeah,
and then hamburger Fridays.
Oh, the hamburgers were the worst.
No, you know what?
We had the school announcements too. They would always tell you what was going to, like the main, like if it was pizza day or if it was spaghetti, they would tell you whatever the main thing was. But you could always get pizza. You could always get chicken fingers. You could. There were 4 or 5 things you could always get, but they would always tell you what the major.
Did you get what do they call it? The American goulash, which is basically elbow macaroni with ground beef, and then they add seasoning and
and it was delicious.
Ooh, that sounds
I loved.
Yeah, we got that too.
Yeah.
It took me 20 years to figure out the freaking recipe because I never knew what it was in junior high because I come from a Chinese American household. We don't eat anything.
Beefaroni, basically.
Yes.
Well, but beefaroni gives you like heartburn. This didn't. So it's.
Roger, would you eat from your local 7-Eleven or AM/PM?
So this is the thing. If you were to ask me back in the 90s, I would say it would be my decision would be 50-50. My friend used to work at an AM/PM, and he used to call me over. It's like, it's 4:00. I got to dump out all the sandwiches. Because he could only because California allows you to let it sit for 2 hours before you toss it.
That's always good to know somebody at a place like that.
But they don't serve those anymore. They don't offer now. It's just like the weird sausage and the weird pizza. And
I want to hear from Len. What's Len going to do on this?
Oh, so every once in a while, you mentioned, Roger, that the hamburgers were terrible. Every once in a while, I get a hankering for the hamburgers from my high school. I don't know why I would get them. I didn't have much of a
They're
a lunch.
Nostalgic.
You like
I didn't have a lot of money to spend, so these were like the thing that I would get, and it was just a plain hamburger, probably terrible for you, some ketchup, diced onions, and they were so good. Now, if you're talking college, I would want to go back to college and eat this thing which you were talking about, which sounds like that beefaroni. This thing called Johnny Marzetti, which was basically bow tie pasta in like a meat sauce, and everybody hated it except for me. I'm like, oh, Johnny Marzetti Day. Yeah, this is good.
More for me.
Why would anyone hate that? That sounds great.
I don't know, because it's like
it wasn't for
so
everybody.
you're all choosing school cafeteria?
Oh yeah.
You guys had
100%.
much better school cafeteria.
What about you, Tom? What are you choosing?
Our school cafeteria was awful.
What were you eating?
We had hamburgers that had soybeans in them. I swear to God, we all called them soy burgers. We had the square pizzas I'm nostalgic for, but they weren't good.
Right.
We had one choice. We had no vending machines. We had no pierogies. We had nothing. We
didn't have pierogies either. We had pierogies.
Yeah.
What? That's just the same name for a different thing.
Oh no, they're different foods.
I have a
feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com.
I have a funny story about that. So in grade school, we didn't have a cafeteria at my school, but they would have McDonald's Day or Pizza Day, and you'd order pizzas and stuff like that.
We didn't have that either.
You didn't even have that.
We didn't have that.
Well-
no, you got a tray and whatever they were serving that day. Well, it was not good.
This was a big deal.
That's what was going on at my school too. It's like you get what they give you that day, and if you don't like it,
But
your
you
mom
liked
can
it some
pack your
days 'cause
lunch,
you-
and
you got
can
pierogies.
Bring your little brown bag
So
to
my-
lunch.
Well, that's what I did. I packed my lunch.
Yeah,
Or my
I
mom
had to
packed
pack
my
my
lunch
lunch.
most of the time. Yeah.
But the
Tom,
thing
did you
is-
go to a single room wooden schoolhouse where it was like kindergarten,
It seems
12th
like
grade?
it.
Was it on the
Yeah.
prairie?
The hole in the
somewhere?
ground, right?
No, we had 500 people in my high school. It wasn't huge, but it wasn't single room.
I mean, that's not the smallest high school.
no,
I mean,
yeah.
it's not huge, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad we all know a little bit more about our eating habits. Thank you to everybody
Good question, Roger. I like it.
who submitted their responses. And going into the mailbag, Tom, what do we got?
Kyle wanted to share his online digital footprint experience. Kyle writes, "No, not everything on the internet lives forever, but you should still astroturf your digital footprint. There is another guy with my name, and he was convicted of murder in the early 2000s. I had to put real effort into pushing news stories about this guy off the first page of Google results for my name. About 5 to 10 years ago, the archived articles from various newspapers and TV news channels just faded away, and now you can't find any trace of those stories. Moral of the story is to take control of your digital footprint and make it look the way you want it to, even if you have to astroturf it."
Well, the first thing is the guy has to change his name from Richard Ramirez. That's the first thing. That was the guy who took my COVID test. I remember it showed up. His name was-
Oh, I was like, I don't know the joke.
no,
I was like,
but do you know who Richard Ramirez
Like,
is?
do you-
He's,
Is
Do
he
you
the
need a
Night
minute?
Stalker?
he's the Night Stalker.
Oh my gosh.
I remember it because what's his name from Mad About You was on SNL, and they made a whole joke about that thing for some reason.
Paul
Riser.
Paul Reiser.
Riser?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, folks,
Yeah.
remember, you can send in your comments to feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. If you want to let us know something, that's the place to do it.
Len Peralta has been doing more than sharing his lunchroom experiences with us. He's been illustrating today's show. Len, what have you drawn for us?
You know, I was really interested in that first story you had about the AirPods that are able to translate for you. Really, really cool technology. But, there are some people who you probably still won't be able to understand, and that's what this image is all about. It looks like it looks like Mark Zuckerberg
it
speaking
very
in
much
a,
does. Yeah.
yes, speaking in his own language
It
there because
does.
he possibly is an alien. And we're Spock and Firstberg algorithm, Elon Musk, and someone's listening and saying, "Dude is definitely not of this earth." So he's still under suspicion. Zuck is still under suspicion there. So yeah, if you're interested in getting this image, you can go to my to Patreon, patreon.com/Len. Back me at the DTNS level, and you get it immediately. Or go to my online store, lenperaltastore.com, and it's right there on the front page. You can get it along with all my other DTNS images.
So, folks, you have been submitting stories over at dtns.showbot.tv. So let's go through some of the stuff that folks have been submitting in. So I really like this one. The Smurfs of District 9 by GPEG 84.
I want to see that movie. Somebody put that in Sora.
Oh, yeah. Yes. That's an AI thing happening. Yeah.
Here we got another one. This is also from GPEG 84. Sharing AirPods doesn't translate.
Hey.
It really doesn't.
Clinton Woodward sends in RCS, make messaging secure again.
Ah, nice.
Okay.
And it looks like
Diminish-
GPEG's got a bunch of them in here. It's like, let's just
JPEG's
RCS chat. Yeah, he was on it today.
And I like diminishing returns news show from Fred 18.
Well, I don't think we should call ourselves that.
No, out of context, people might take it wrong, but it's funny.
But it's funny. Yeah.
So, Sarah, what
We
did
are
you decide to go with?
nostalgic for school burgers, but we did go with the Smurfs of District 9 from GPEG 84.
I didn't even know that
Very
was going to
good.
be the winner, but it definitely was the one that resonated with me. I was like, oh, that was
great.
tight.
Yeah, it's just funny. It's just funny.
Indeed. What is not funny, but is very serious, is our appreciation of your support
That's right.
at all the different places like LinkedIn, YouTube. Once again, big thanks to Laminar Rainbow for the super sticker on YouTube earlier today. A lot of folks supporting us over on Twitch as well. You can support us by having a subscription there. If you have Amazon Prime already, it doesn't even cost you anything extra. Big thanks to PC Milesy, Zoe Brings Bacon, and Technomensch for the bits. Big Mike and Austin resubscribing for the 34th month. Zeus 00072 subscribed with Prime 6 hours ago. And we got a follow from Pepe Las Noches. Thank you all for your support. And big thanks to our patrons. We got a raise from Andre. Andre, thank you so much for that. Very, very flattering when somebody says, I'm supporting you, but I think you're doing good enough. I could support you a little more. So big thank you for everything. Patreon.com/DTNS. Also, don't forget, we have top 5 on our YouTube channel. It's also available on TikTok, on Instagram Reels. And this week, I am counting down the top 5 reasons GPUs are so darn pricey. If you've been looking at those GPU prices and your eyes just involuntarily water and your wallet hurts, even though it's not even in your purse, by all means, you're going to have to watch this. Catch it at Daily Tech News Show on TikTok and Instagram or youtube.com/Daily Tech News Show.
You can watch our show live Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern. That is 2000 UTC. And you can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. We hope you all have a wonderful weekend. We're back doing it all again with Justin Robert Young joining us on Monday. Have a good one.
This week's episodes of Daily Tech News Show Live were created by the following people. Producer and host Sarah Lane. Host Tom Merritt. Host Rob Dunewood. Producer Roger Chang. Video producer Joe Kuntz. Producer at large Anthony Lemos. Social media producer and moderator Zoe Dutterding. Our mods: Beatmaster, W. Scottus1, BioCow, Captain Kipper, Steve Guadarrama, Paul Reese, Matthew J. Stevens, aka Gadget Virtuoso, and J.D. Galloway. Mod and video hosting by Dan Christensen. Music provided by Martin Bell and Dan Looters. Art by Len Peralta. Acast ad support from Tatiana Matias. Patreon support from Tom McNeil. Contributors to this week's show included Justin Robert Young, Patrick Norton, and Scott Johnson. And thanks to all our patrons who make the show possible.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.